Hello all, and thank you all for registering to the webinar. And uh, I welcome you all to the AI Agent Roadmap for Banking webinar. So we are all happy to have you all in this webinar, and Simplify is welcoming you all. Get ready for an insightful hour to spend. A small introduction about me. Myself, Sushil Sampath, AI Digitalist from Simplify. So I am excited for this webinar to happen, and we are going to know about use cases, AI insights, and all everything, the banking operations. And this is going to be very exciting and interesting, insightful for all of us. So to know about the session highlights of the webinar, to start with, strategic discussion from automation to autonomy, tech discussion, AI roadmap integration insights, real world use cases, explore AI in various verticals. There is interactive AI activities and there is QA session. I would like to introduce our speakers of the day. I'm happy to introduce Mr. Vishwanath Akella, founder CEO Simplify. He's a technology leader with over 20 years of experience in driving enterprise innovation. He specializes in building AI and blockchain platforms for the banking and financial services industry. Previously, he worked with SAP Labs and holds an MBA from Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. Now, I am happy to introduce Mr. Gokul Alex, CTO Simplify. He's a blockchain and decentralized finance expert with global experience at IBM, KPMG, PwC, and EY. He currently leads blockchain and AI quantum initiatives at Simplify, focusing on intelligent agents, large language models, and decentralized learning across VFSI. So this is about our experts, SME experts for the day. We are going to hear from them. It is going to be insightful. Now let's start and deep dive into the discussion, starting with strategic discussion and tech discussion by Mr. Vishwanath and Mr. Gokul. So starting with Mr. Vishwanath, I am putting this question to you. From a global banking lens, how do you define agentic AI and how does it go beyond traditional automation or RPA?
Yep. Good afternoon, everyone. And it's great to see all of you on this particular call. And thanks, Sushil, for this webinar. And as we see the next evolution of how banking is progressing and embracing agentic AI, it is far more beyond than the hype. Now it is more about actuals and reality because, from global banking has been always the front runner in adoption of technology and it has benefited quite a bit. The first generation has been the RPA. So with RPA, the automation scripts have started where linear processes or more rigid processes which are has been there's an echo. So hopefully, is this clear? Yeah. So now, from global banking perspective, agentic isn't your regular automation. It is much beyond than the RPA. Of course, RPA has got its great benefits. It is like an overachieving intern, so where it can complete the tasks, but there should be a designated path to it. And if the path slightly deviates, if there is an exception, then the entire RPA script has to be rewritten. But what AI agentic comes is with ability to think, ability to learn, and also collaborate. So it doesn't just move the data, it connects the dots. So it understands, reads the intent, and its ability to also do and solve complex scenarios. So that means when RPA has a little fragile workflow, but can actually do a linear, structured approach as an automation, agentic will be able to handle and learn and also think because it has got tools, memory, and there are which will enhance its ability to do the cognitive linkages and then take a decisioning out of it. So this becomes much more comprehensive in nature. So in banking terms, say for example, I mean, as a fun part of it, like RPA closes maybe some of the tickets, or maybe some of the processes but AI opens a lot of possibilities, and you would actually see that the scenarios expand as the AI agents progresses within the banks because there are much more complex and intricate scenarios. So agents are the next generation of the banking automation processes, which has an ability to think, learn, collaborate, and ability to decision, uh, with like a human being, but also help human in loop to make the correct decisions as of now.
So that was a very great explanation, Mr. Vishwa. Rightly put, RPA puts tickets and AI opens opportunities. AI agents has the ability to think and collaborate and has the power to give you the right decisions. It was rightly put. Thank you. Next, moving on to a question to Mr. Gokul. Mr. Gokul, many global banks have invested heavily in RPA. How can they augment, not replace, these systems with AI agents?
Sure. Thank you so much, Sushil, for uh, sharing this wonderful question, very practically um, a relevant question at the moment, because we have seen in the past decade, RPA has helped in the digital transformation of banking industry significantly, right? So this is the level on which we will see a leap from the agentic AI approach. Till now, we have been seeing the wonders of predictive AI, generative AI, but for the enterprises, agentic approach brings in the right capabilities because agentic approach is very much connected to the tool set what we have in the industry at the moment in the banking industry. So as RPA has been embraced heavily, it has generated so much of data and it has created so much of workflows, so much of integration patterns between different disparate systems, but they are lacking context. They are lacking right set of collaborations between humans and intelligent machines. This is the void which will be filled by agentic AI, because agentic AI, as Vishwa was mentioning in the beginning, is definitely beyond automation. It's an autonomous system. How do we define autonomous systems? Autonomous systems are more intelligent, more uh, they have more capabilities, more freedom of we normally say, right, freedom of power. So, degrees of freedom, that is a traditional term we use. They have more degrees of freedom per se. Because of this capability, they will be able to connect the dots uh, between different RPA agents. For example, let's take the case of OCR. Traditional RPA systems will be using a standard set of optical character recognition libraries and tools. But with Agentic AI, the possibilities are enormous. Transformer-based OCRs like TROCR, then using them along with vision language models for layout detection. And then, so the permutation and combinations start to open up infinite possibilities. How can we use multi OCR engines in a fusion model? These possibilities were not there in the traditional RP ecosystem at all. This is where a very good combination. So, for example, if you have five different OCR engines like TR-OCR, DocTR, Paddle OCR, and EC-OCR, and others, right? All of them can be stitched together in a very intelligent manner with a very dynamic weightage system through using an agent. This is a very practical scenario how agents will enrich the traditional the document processing workflow. Going beyond that, the possibilities are enormous. That's why they will build on the top of what is already being processes mined and curated and connected by RPA, now will be enriched and memorized by agentic AI systems.
So excellent insight there, Mr. Gokul. So agentic AI approach, emphasis on agentic AI approach should be increased. More opportunities will open up with agentic AI, vision language model, multi OCR model. These are the opportunities which are going to be increased by choosing on AI agents, agentic AI. So that was very great put up, Mr. Gokul. So moving on, Mr. Vishwa, let's have a demo of AI for trade finance.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see these agents in action. So typically, let's actually take a banking scenario, especially a wholesale banking scenario, maybe a commercial banking scenario where the letter of credits is a highly used instrument for trade. And any trade that happens, the customer have to fill the forms, as well as there is quite a lot of documents that has to be ingested within it. So what if the agent itself knows the customer and the previous templates that they have used, and creates a letter of credit for him, and asks him to actually add all the documents. And once these documents are scrutinized by the AI, it sends to the bank. Previously, what used to happen is it's a manual documents in place. So before it reaches maker, now as you see, the agents have already submitted it to the maker, and it went into the approval queue of this maker. Why? Because the documents are already pre-checked by the AI agent at the customer site itself. Now, these document scrutiny, whether it is UCP 600, URC, UCP, based on the different types of trade instruments, the document analysis can be done by AI agents in a very seamless way, automate the entire document scrutiny process by doing the OCR of these particular documents. Because apart from LC application, nothing else is very structured. Invoices are different, and so on and so forth. So, and this digital making, which will also help in reducing the overall turnaround time to approve or issue a working capital, or to actually release the amount, and so on and so forth. For example, if you see the discrepancies that you see here are identified by the AI agent. So there are some rules that are getting failed, and now what happens is, this is where the remediation process will actually happen with regards to heuristic learning. So whenever a maker or checker makes the changes, he will be also he will send this data, correct what AI has given. Say, for example, some of the assumptions of AI are wrong. This goes as a feedback back into the learning model, and then get implemented. So if you actually look at a typical process of anywhere between 2 days to 3 days, if not up to maximum up to 18 days, can be abridged to around 20 minutes of the overall process. So that's how the AI agents are effective, right from the customer ingestion of this particular data, pre-qualifying the documents to maker, which is a digital making altogether, and submitting all the identified discrepancies to the checker. So there is an eyeballing, there's a human in loop who will actually make the final decision. But if you actually look at the speed at which the compliances are handled, the document scrutiny is done, the extractions are done, the aggregations are done, it's mind blowing. So that's how this product automates multiple banks, trade finance problems, or maybe it could be any document automation for that matter. So that's a demo maybe which will give a quick insight on how AI agents will enable autonomous workflows within the bank.
Definitely, Mr. Vishwa, I agree on that. It is again summarizing on the point where you had mentioned it has the ability to think, collaborate, and it has the power to process the documents. It has the power to give that of efficiency of that. So this all has the efficiency to make the banking operations even more faster and efficient. It was very well put. So next, to all the audience here, we have a activity which is called AI readiness assessment. So in this activity, you are going to assess your bank on the criteria of the AI readiness with five criteria, starting with data infrastructure, technology stack and integration, people and skills, process and governance, strategic vision and leadership. So this activity is mainly framed as a checklist of the AI readiness. So that your bank will gain the checklist of these checkpoints to have the AI ready bank. So starting with the activity flow is like you can score the under the criteria of maximum 100 points for the activity, and with each criteria and sub criteria you can score of 5 points each in the first criteria. I'll give 20 seconds for the each criteria. You can drop in the comments after the complete score is for the 100 points you have gained. So moving on to technology stack and integration. Next, we will move on to people and skills. Next, moving on to process and governance. And then the final criteria of strategic vision and leadership. So basically, this activity was framed to know how AI ready is your bank. So this AI ready checklist will be provided of the webinar so that you can use this checklist and you can have the AI readiness for your bank. This is the scoring framework for your AI readiness. So I request to all the audience to please drop your AI scores in the comment section. It will be fun to watch, and we will have the insight of how AI ready is your bank, and it will be very insightful. Next, coming back to our panel discussion. So I'm putting this question to Mr. Vishwa. What global trends are driving banks to transition from process automation to decision automation?
Yeah. Perfect. So when we talk about the process automation, which is typically the RPA world, or the traditional automation powered by some of the applications and workflow applications, uh, they're doing great. I think so. The lights on, the operations are on because of this, automations that were already in place. But this is at the level one of the maturity, right? The thing is, it is like, you can click here and then go to the next step, extract the OCR, and then so on and so forth. But what happens is, the the regulation is evolving, the rules are changing, new business models are evolving. So the speed at which things are changing, I think so, RPA is little rigid in its overall automation space. So then let's actually look at the decision automation, which is now powered by AI agents. So AI agents just does not execute the rules like what you have done in the process automation, but it interprets, it learns, and then decides how to use the data, connect the dots, and then take a reasoning around these aspects of it. So whether it is a call that it has to take, whether it is an acceptance of the workflow, or maybe rejection of the workflow, it does that. So maybe just as an analogy, RPA is the recipe, is the dish itself. So, but AI agent is a chef. It knows what are the ingredients, so it aggregates all those ingredients, create a good flavor of whatever the dish that we wanted to. So that's where AI agent comes into the picture. But I wanted also to put a kind of a red flag here, just to caution that not everything can be agentic, because agentic comes with also the cost proposition in terms of the GPUs and so on and so forth. If it's a linear process, why do you want it to make it agentic? If it's a set process in terms of maybe a small automation, if it is not complex enough, why should you want it to go with automation, decision automation, or maybe agent based automation? So this is the matrix which will actually say that if it's complex enough, if there is AI agents have to make decision, if agents have to enable more complex workflows, so then I would actually say the bank has to really look at the decision automation. But if there are small automations which could be rigid, which could be sequential, then there is no problem. For example, KYCs, whether how many KYCs are active, how many KYCs are not active. Maybe that's just analytics. So that can be done by a process automation, can check all those, and then maybe it's a simple SQL query itself can actually fetch those. But if the automation demands saying that whether the KYC has a CKYC attached to it, and whether the CKYC is done, and whether they have any duplication is there. So such kind of complex automations can actually be pursued by agents in a much more seamless and an easy way. For example, on top of it, you wanted to decide a complete scrub of customers who are eligible for the new product that you are launching or the new card that you are launching. So likewise, you can actually define multi stepped workflow, much more complex workflow, getting the data from, for example, the customer UCIC IDs, or customer unique IDs, and then you can also look at the CKYC database. You can also get from the existing database on what products that they are, what is the eligibility, what is the, so you can actually mix multiple data to actually evolve a decisioning around this. That is the power that AI agents actually bring in. But it is not a standard for all the there's no, it's not a standard answer that AI agents are for anything and everything. So it is a hybrid world where some of them are process automation driven, and there is also some of them which are decision automation driven. So RPA and AI agents will coexist for some time, where the complete world transitions towards AI agents at a later point of time. Yep.
So it was very well put, and it was summarized very neatly that banks have to choose wisely on what to take. Should it be process automation or should it be decision automation on the use case of what they are going to proceed with. It was very well put. So next, it brings me a next question of what are the top three technical challenges that banks face during this shift? I asked this question to Mr. Gokul. So, Mr. Gokul, what are the top three technical challenges that banks face during this shift and how can they mitigate them?
Yeah. Very pertinent question, Sushil. In this transition, right? There are different facets that the bank has to be cognizant about. One of the major consideration is the availability of the availability and sanity of the right data. So when you look at the integration of the agentic AI systems, uh, uh, has to work in harmony with the existing systems. So we will have to feed in right kind of data and right kind of AI agents has to be provisioned for the infrastructure. So here comes the very important due diligence. Like, do I need uh, do I can I use a very good transformer based OCR for document processing? Should I leverage multiple OCR engines? Should I use a single powerful OCR engine? And the trade-off, like whether what is the key priority for this? Is it very complex, diverse set of documents, or I am looking for a very fast document processing workflow? So based on that, understanding the provisioning the right infrastructure is one of the most formidable challenge. Second comes to make sure the entire AI infrastructure is privacy preserving and compliant with the standards and regulations. This is where the very good expertise in guardrails and the AI privacy preserving aspects are very much important. So this is very important when we look at enterprise deployment of AI. For example, uh, in different scenarios, some banks will go for on-premise or multi-cloud or single cloud deployment of AI. So in these scenarios, the right selection of the guardrails and right set of security testing, penetration testing, and red teaming frameworks are also important and a very important challenge. The third important challenge is the right sequencing of the AI model, agentic AI systems in a deterministic manner. It's like AI comes with so much of power, as we have mentioned earlier. It has the power to go with very good degrees of freedom, autonomy, right? But you have to sequence it in a proper way that AI gives us enough context, feed that back into the system through agentic memory, leverage human feedback as and when necessary, so that AI doesn't go out of context or AI doesn't and AI gets sufficient context. So, right context balancing or context engineering for the AI agentic AI system is the third important thing in a very deterministic manner, because we are this is more than a creative generative AI. So we are in the third generation, right? From predictive AI to generative AI. Now we are talking about agentic AI. Agentic AI has to work in a very stable manner for the enterprise. That is the third and most crucial aspect that we should be cognizant about.
Thank you, Mr. Gokul. To summarize what you have said, to have the right infrastructure, privacy and compliant, and they should have the right sequencing of agentic AI, which is deterministic. So, thank you for that. Now, let's have a product demo of AI Bank. I request Mr. Vishwa to please explain about it.
So let's actually talk about the how a complete process automation can happen with AI agents. So let us actually take the AI bank of the future now. And right from, let's actually take a simple process of the loan origination and how a KYC from a net new customer of a bank will actually take his risk assessment by performing a KYC and a loan document submission. And AI agent simply can look at the entire results in just analyzing these documents, getting the data from various India stack or maybe any of the compliance checks that needs to be done, and basing on their eligibility criteria, calculation of also a credit appraisal memo at a later stage. So this would be the start where the KYC is automatically performed and the verifications are done and by a simple AI agent. And then it goes into the next step of also looking at doing a credit appraisal memo. And then in the credit appraisal memo it assesses various parameters. And if you could advance it, Sushil. In this parameterization it would be able to calculate what is the eligibility of the customer to take this particular loan, and also analyze in case if this credit screening wise it has the right dimension. So it actually takes entire dimension based on different types of loan products. So it understand what type of loan product is it, whether it is a structured loan, whether it is an unstructured loan, whether it has a guarantee towards it. So it skims across different dimensions, but whether it is geography, whether it is credit scoring, whether it is historical trends. And based on this particular analysis it actually evolves a decisioning whether this person is eligible for even taking a loan or not. And based on these insights, it would be able to take a decision that whether this loan can be disbursed. If it is can be disbursed, then it can be disbursed just immediately. If not, if there is a human in loop has to be involved, then it actually sends it to the exception queue. So the this is one approach of it. But when a structured document, when structured loan comes into the picture, say for example, if I'm actually investing or I'm going with a mortgage loan and I would want to analyze my property, the it goes with a physical verification and so on and so forth. But AI agents also checks these documentation, checks the opinion, checks the area, understands like what are the other parameters that it could actually take. Say for example, one of the properties that was submitted is good enough, but there are some public transport accesses in there. So maybe the valuation which they were actually asking for might not be justifiable. So that means these red flags can be observed by the AI agent, and based on these, the decisioning of the loan will actually take, whether it is a structured loan, whether it is unstructured loan. So for different types of loans, there are different credit appraisal memos, and AI agents does this analysis within minutes. So which used to take hours together to analyze all these information, synthesize this information, AI agent now does in seconds, if not hardly minutes. So that means the overall TAT for issuance of the loan, analyzing and also enabling better risk resilience can be obtained by using these AI agents. So that's the part it actually brings in. Though we shown this application on the foreground, there are many backend processes. Say, for example, a KYC agent works in orchestration with a loan agent. A loan agent in orchestration works with the credit appraisal memo, eligibility agent, and then there is a supervisory model which will actually orchestrate and then understands that what decisions have to be taken, and then it creates a queue of all the eligible people on this. So in this way, a simple workflow, or maybe a more complex workflow, can be simplified by leveraging these AI agents. So this is how the future of AI banking is. Whether it is whether it is actually transitioning towards non-human interactions, no. These are all very manual and rigid process which takes enormous time, but there are a lot of biases as well. Now you're eliminating the bias, increasing the efficiency, but your bank is actually ability to scale at the operations in such a way to reduce the overall cost and gain quite a lot of efficiencies in the repeated processes where you can actually focus on designing or building more new innovative products. This grunt work is done by AI agents.
Okay. Very well put, Mr. Vishwa. Thank you for that. So next, let's move on to another question. So, which brings me a doubt of which vertical of banking segments, like trade finance, risk, compliance, which vertical of these banking segments are leading in AI agent adoption, and why do you think so?
Yeah. See, it is again a very very difficult to answer which one goes first. Definitely most of the processes, the whole objective of the bank is to ensure that their customers are served better, served faster, as well as the products actually speak simplification, so that there will be more adoption and there is more market share. This is any objective of any bank throughout the globe, right? The most important thing is how do we increase the efficiency, reduce the cost, because now with volume of transactions that are piling up in banking, it takes t plus 1, t plus 2, or even t plus 3 at times to process some of those. Now can we actually bring it to t plus 0? Can we actually do it in better latency? I mean, like have maybe hardly minutes. So because the millennial generation and the next generation that we are looking at has I mean, is looking at very different experiences than whatever the current trend is. So agents will definitely be the accelerator towards these new age applications, and especially bank, when you look at the most important priorities for the bank to decide on the agents, for example, would be, to my analysis, is more towards the fraud and risk compliances. So for example, if a credit card transaction is happening, you will get a message saying that whether you are the person who is doing the transaction, but before the fraud happens, and whether can you react at this moment. No, it's only a post facto. So that means only a post event analysis cannot help the fraud not to happen. So what if an AI agent can sense this? Can AI agent can analyze the patterns and understand that hey, this is the fraud that is actually happening, and can actually prevent these frauds. So risk analysis in a real time, I think so this is one of the major scenarios. Compliance, and because their compliance keeps on changing, so we need to keep a tab of things. So whether your standard operating procedures are in line with those becomes one of the top priorities. And as well, one more bigger segment of adoption is the customer. So in the customer segment, 30% of the costs for any bank lies in the customer support and grievance management. So whether this can be automated with AI agents, yes, this brings in a lot of efficiency gain. At least about 50% of the cost reduction happens by using the AI agents in an effective way. But the engineering has to be really, really good. So to me, I think so compliance, risk analysis, real-time fraud detection, and these are the extra, and the customer facing things are the external facing ones. But we are also having so many internal operations that can be agentified, or maybe can be converted as an AI agents, which brings quite a lot of time efficiency, cost efficiency, process efficiency, and bring the bank to a next level of technological advancement.
That was very valuable. It was like you've given emphasis on fraud, risk, compliance, and many internal operations to be put, and they can have the priority on which to put now, because you have given the emphasis on fraud risk and real-time fraud detection. So these are the main operations on which they can start the AI agent adoption on which. Yes. So now it brings me another question to Mr. Gokul. How does agentic AI architecture ensure data privacy, compliance, and explainability, especially under regulations like GDPR or RBI norms?
Um, this is a very important aspect, Sushil. So, right now, as we have briefly touched upon different agentic AI design patterns, we have touched upon retrieval augmented generation, right? So there are different kind of approaches giving importance to data privacy. One approach is making sure the data resides in a enterprise, and then we use a vector database, uh, and then integrate the data through retrieval augmented generation systems in an agentic RAG architecture with the capabilities like remote attestation, and it depends on the degree of privacy that you require and the degree of security that you require. Um, and that could be good starting point where we have a good secure perimeter for the retrieval augmented generation system, agentic RAG system, where through which the data gets continuously processed and then leveraged in the agentic AI systems. Another approach is using privacy preserving models and privacy preserving models together with and there are paradigms like differential privacy together with the federated learning differential privacy paradigms can be used with agentic AI systems, which require some more careful engineering and more efforts, but it is very well required when you are dealing with private identifiable data. And when it comes to compliance, we have to make sure that the compliance management workflows are properly understood by the agentic AI systems. This is where we have to use uh, different approaches. One easy approach or one straightforward approach is using knowledge graph powered retrieval augmented generation systems. That is, there is a model called Graph RAG popularized by Microsoft, and we have done different deployments of Graph RAG that helps us in creating a very good frame of reference. So, for example, you are creating cybersecurity related complaints or some other UCP related complaints. Those complaints document can be deeply understood. That structure and every complaints keywords can be understood by the graph rag. But if you need more elaborate engineering, you have to feed in 100-page complaints management document, complaint standards. You can go with a more formidable system like Graph GPT, which can help us in extracting the entire compliance context. And then the third aspect you have touched upon is very important today, called explainability. Explainability for the entire agentic AI systems can be done leveraging reasoning models. And nowadays, the latest models like Gemma or the other models from the models from GPT or OpenAI, they're all equipped with the reasoning capabilities. These models can also be used, integrated with the workflow in such a way that they are explaining the overall sequence of the action of other agents. The agents, they can monitor, and it's like a meta reasoning approach. They will look at the data. We have to feed in so we have to integrate first observability, and once the data is being observed, this data can be understood and explained by the reasoning model. So a very good combination of agentic observability and explainability will be very much required, and this can be made compliant with regulations like GDPR and RBI norms through proper usage of Graph RAG or Graph GPT based approach, or we could use some variant of this approach. Only thing is, we have to the NIST standard for cybersecurity, GDPR for privacy, and RBI norms. All of this can be done. We also have to curate the workflow in such a way that these standards, for example, GDPR requires a specific workflow in place, like the data controller, the data controller, data processor paradigm has to be modularized. Such a modularized approach for agentic AI implementation will be required when we are making it compliant with GDPR. That is a that is a suggestion when you go for a GDPR complaint approach.
Uh, Thank you, Mr. Gokul. You have beautifully put the focus on RAG, privacy reserving model, differential privacy, knowledge of graph RAG, and complaint management reason. These are all the need of the art for, especially on regulations like GDPR and RBI norms for the banks. It was very beautifully put. Now,
Absolutely.
I request Mr. Vishwa to de- Mr. Gokul to have a
Sure.
give a explanation and demo on AI suite, simplify AI suite.
Yeah. So definitely, Sushil, this is this AI App Store plus Marketplace we have built with our own uh, GPT, fork of GPT with intelligent routing. So what we have done is we have hosted set of the state of the art large language models and reasoning models and created our own LLM, which understand this is a multimodal LLM. This understand the context and understand the type of documents or images or videos that we are feeding in here inside, and then it comes up with the understanding and scoring, and it evaluates the performance of all the models which are integrated inside, and then it loads the specific model and gives the response. So this we are expanding this, hosting multiple reasoning models and integrating small language models as well. And the main capability of this is this can be deployed on premise, and completely it can run on premise using our own hosting methodologies with ML ops, LLM ops, and using our own quantization techniques. So we are making sure that the all the large language models will be quantized so that they we will get very good performance without compromising on the accuracy. So this is about our age App Store and Suite, AA Suite.
Yeah, it is very beautiful to see our own simplify GPT. So
Yeah.
then I request Mr.
And
Vishwa to
yeah,
yes,
to add
yes,
on,
yes.
in this particular AA Suite, we are also integrating agentic RAG and multi-agent systems, and agent MCP are also there, so that multiple data sources data can be integrated, and multiple agents are used in coordination. And the agentic RAG, the usage of the multiple RAG approaches like multi-level RAG, graph RAG, and the speculative RAGs are used in harmony as per the context, whether based on whether it's a complaints management use case or validation use case, or it's related to prediction use case or similar use cases.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gokul, for that. Adding the even more emphasis on simplified GPT. Now
Sure.
I request Mr. Vishwa to give us an overview on cyber GPT.
Yeah. So as I was previously mentioning, how important is it for bank to upkeep on the regulation? There could be multiple regulations that would be coming in, and your playbook of regulation has to be intact. But with constantly changing landscape, you need to really look at what is changing. For example, maybe you might wanted to really look at how Monetary Authority of Singapore or Monetary Authority of Hong Kong were implementing these use cases, and what are the security constraints that you need to follow. So if your AI agent can be defense towards your internal controls, what are the gaps that are identified, what are the vulnerabilities that are identified, and take an immediate action, I think so that will be your power to to enable the bank in more risk resilience, as well as to be more compliant and to be at the forefront of regulation. So any regulation that comes throughout the world, you just have the feeders that would be actually coming in, and the simplifies cyber GPT would be able to look at the new vulnerabilities or new deficits in the policy, and then will be able to look at various vulnerabilities, compare against the global standards, and actually give you an insight into what standard that is best suitable for you, and how can you improvise your standard so that you can actually catch up the regulation internationally or domestically, or whichever you wanted to enable the bank to. So that's where this cyber GPT will become the tool which will enable these aspects, whether it's a risk assessment, whether it is vulnerability, automation, testing. So there could be multiple things that it could actually handle and give you a gaps that exist within your system, and then fix those gaps with recommendations. That's what the power of cyber GPT is all about.
That was a very beautiful explanation of the product. It was very useful. So let's quickly move on to the use cases, which was much expected from the audience, which was very much needed from the audience. So, Mr.
Yeah.
Vishwa, can you please give an overview on the use cases?
Yeah, absolutely. There are multiple use cases that can cut across, but some of the use cases that are implemented by global banks, by a lot of funds and a lot of financial companies across the globe. Automation of the customer support has been one of the primary adoptions. So previously we used to have only bots, but maybe what can I mean, how, can it be empowered as an AI agentic bot? So with human language, human synthesis, text to speech, it's now gone into a reality, like it is actually speaking like a human being. So customer support has advanced quite a bit. Financial advisory, fund management. So Norway, they are actually they have achieved 100 million in saving by using an AI agent for the fund management. So loan process and underwriting. So here within India, we have actually seen quite a lot of surge of how the loan process and underwriting can be actually automated with AI agents. Simplify being the front runner in those creation of agents. We have seen how the overall marketing spend can actually reduce, and how can the loan process and the credit appraisal memo can generation happen within seconds. So, and the other thing is like the fraud prevention and detection. So this becomes a very important AI agent which will help banks to stay vigilant on different types of cyber risks that they actually encounter, different types of frauds that can actually happen within the banking processes, and so on and so forth. And trade finance automation. So this is one more which has become a very very well known segment, and this is one of the suite which SimplyFI has. And then customer retention, engagement, debt collection, digital onboarding. So these are the early use case scenarios, but these are all external facing, except the fraud detection wise and compliance and risk management wise. But there are a lot of internal processes like reconciliations. Then we have the kata processes, or we have the wholesale banking wise wealth management space. There are quite a lot of scenarios which AI agents cuts across, because wherever the quantity, the volume is more, the complexity is more, agents come in and solve those complex use cases by understanding the context, connecting the dots, and enabling greater efficiencies, both in the time savings as well as in the process efficiencies. So that's some of the use cases which are widely adopted, and some of the use cases as well.
So that was very beautiful to put out all the use cases. It was much needed by all the banking sector, which is the need of the hour. So to all the audience, we are open to questions. We'll have the Q&A session now. So please, you can ask the questions, and Mr. Vishwa and Mr. Gokul can answer to it.
So while we wait for questions, I think so. Uh, the redefinition of banking is happening through AI agents. I think so. It's actually giving a lot of competitive advantage, for banks to automate these processes, not just in the way that uh, somebody has to instruct like an RPA agent, but maybe the contextualization and the knowledge which AI agents has, it will be able to connect the dots, align with the processes, understand the inefficiencies, and then upskill itself to give more valid outcomes and decisioning outcomes through AI agents. So I think so we are at the start of this particular revolution, and I'm sure once you start looking at the early wins by some of those adopting some of those processes, I think so. There's a whole world to conquer for banking in the new paradigm or new approach of how do you employ AI agents for banking in various segments, be it in the retail space, be it in the wholesale space, be it in the commercial banking. So the multiple aspects which can go for a transformation.
So, yeah, now we can take up the questions. Anybody from the audience?
In case anybody has questions, they can put it in the chat or they can just raise their hand. We can unmute them.
Yeah, this is Praveen from Age One. It's quite exciting to see uh, this webinar, and it was good insights. I thought of coming up with 2, 3 questions as default after seeing the post, but after getting the insights, I think there are tons of things going in my mind. But as a priority, I'll go ahead with 3 simple questions to the team. The first is, how do you measure trust, safety, and explainability when AI agent influence financial decisions? And what are the different segregation where AI take place and where do human take place?
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Yes,
Go.
Sushil,
Yeah,
after you.
go ahead. So, I mean, there are multiple places where, for example, especially in banking, human in loop is quite critical. We cannot have completely an automated decision. So, for example, let us actually take a simple thing as signature verification. AI cannot confirm the signature verification stroke happens right or not, though there is a match. We cannot confirm. So, because we have to deal with actuals in banking, we cannot hallucinate, or we cannot have a random answer that's coming from an AI, which can go into the decisioning. So this has to be very definitive. So that's where the RAG systems, which Gokul was mentioning, as well as the agentic applications that we are working with, are very closed loop and does not really emit anything which is beyond definitiveness. So are you 100% sure? Then you can actually go ahead and take a decisioning, right? So um, so that's one thing. So and especially in banking, there should be human in loop for critical transactions. If it's a continuous process and it has lesser impact, then not a problem. High volume transactions, high value transactions. For example, when you look at trade finance, the order of each of those particular bills can be 1 million and 1 million plus. So it is pretty critical to have the oversight of human in loop to take the final decisioning. What AI can bring you is an entire analysis and a drawdown of how the transaction has happened. It can give you what are the variety of things that could uh, enable you to make a decision. But the decisioning should be done by human in loop, so that he understands, and the intuition plays a quite a bit of role. So here it is not about replacing humans; it is about empowering the human.
Mm. Got it.
Praveen,
Yeah,
please let me add my inputs. So,
sure.
as Vishwa was telling, human in the loop and RAG systems immensely important. And what we do is we feed in the context through rules. So, for example, when we are building the RAG systems, there are different architectures we mentioned. There is an architecture known as speculative RAG architecture where we can feed in the existing rules, the traditional rules, and then that can be verified by, so it can be, so there could be one agent which draft the rules and another agent which verify the rule with the input from the human in the loop. So that makes sure that the all the intelligence of the AI is harnessed, but with enough safeguards. This is one approach which helps us to create checks and balances for AI, and we are doing it in a concerted manner. The way we stitch the rules, the way we verify the rules, the way we get feedback, there are different possibilities, different algorithms we use. like in the human in the loop, when we implement RLHF, reinforcement learning with human feedback, we apply different level of algorithms to make sure it is scalable and secure.
But yeah, that was my second question in terms of product. So as it is in quite interesting demos, what you have shown is specifically tailor-made for banking, right? Are we in the plan? I mean, Simplify is in the plan of taking this forward to the complete spectrum of fintech sectors, like other lending applications also, or are we sticking on to banking alone?
Yeah. Maybe a quick answer to that, Praveen, is that, so majorly, Simplify is focused on all the fintech applications. So lending, so because we also work with quite a lot of NBFCs and banking segment as well. Some of them are pretty much into banking because, for example, for trade finance is much more for banking. But when we talk about the other streams, for example, we have Sampath, in a short while, will also speak about all the spectrum of the products that we are working on. For example, we have loan against securities, we have loan management systems and loan origination systems. So all these are also now getting powered by AI agents in terms of onboarding of the customers, in terms of creation of credit appraisal memos. So, for example, one of the credit appraisal memos there are about 54 loan products which we actually support, in which the credit appraisal memo is generated by an AI agent. So as well as loan against security, there are a lot of margin calls that happens. Even there, we are actually leveraging AI. So not only just the banking is one of our core focus areas, but on the other fintech applications, whether it is LAS, whether it is loan origination system or loan management system, we use the entire spectrum of fintech, enabling them with AI. That's the focus area for us.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you for your answers. It was quite interesting and looking forward for the magical product from Simplify.
Thanks a lot, Praveen.
Thank you, Praveen.
So thank you, Praveen. Any more questions we can take up? Please feel free to ask your questions. We can take up the next questions. Okay, so I think we can next take up the closing remarks and summary by Mr. Ajit. Over to you, Ajit, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today for the infomercial session on the AI agent roadmap for banking. Over the past 1 hour, I'm sure there's been a lot of insights you would have got on automation to autonomy, from a simple bot execution, some of the simple tasks, to how an agentic AI can bring in reasoning, decision-making systems, how it can have a continuous learning. We have been working on this for a while now, and we've been talking to a lot of banks today in India and outside India. And there has been a lot of focus and emphasis on how we can move the traditional systems on an autonomous journey. And in our discussion, we begin our discussion with strategic discussions by Vishwanath. And he helped us to understand why banks have to move from the beyond traditional RPA journey to the agentic journey. There has been a technological shift. And while we do a technology shift, there has to be a transformational shift. We can enable us to take those decisions faster, reduce those. I think there are questions, Sunil, Sushil, just be on the chat. Yeah. Not just looking at those technological, but also looking at the transformational and enabling faster decision making and ensure the compliance, and look at the unprecedented growth as well as the precision. And certainly, while we look at the operational and excellence, we also need to be cognizant about the technological fact as well. And then Gokul also spoke about the technical architecture, how the principles are in when he looks at the agentic AI in real. and just not looking at these aspect of it, but also looking at how the regulations, because the bank is completely governed through regulators and regulations, and how the GDPR and RBI norms can look at, and how the bank can also look at the data privacy under these. And the final question is how the bank can build that trust, just not the expandability, but accountability into the new AI ecosystem. So thank you so much for everyone to be on the call and be there. I just have one last slide before we sign off for the day today. Just to talk about, yes, Sushil, can advance the slide, please?
Yes, sir.
So this is the complete stack we have on the, the stack we have for the solutions which we could talk about, and we can. So I'm not getting too deeper into each of them. I understand we are short of time, but I'll just quickly take a bit, just about little more than 60 seconds, and then give the time back to you all. So we've been talking about the large language model. We also have a small language model. I'm sure this is a terminology which you guys would have heard. And today, this small language model can bring a lot of benefits. I'll give you one simple example. One of our customers who manages the L1, L2 support, they said, can we build a small language model to take care of all my, understand all the service tickets which are coming to my system, understand those service tickets, and then the AI agent should recommend to me what is the next best action should I be taking in, rather than me going through those service tickets. So this is a small SLM model which is going to be deployed on their systems, and the entire data remains as a privacy, remains in their own systems, doesn't go outside the network. And likewise, we can build these small language models, not for just look at the L1 or L2 support, I just give an example, but also at bringing that service bots, or bringing that real-time interaction with customers, or summarization. So those are the areas which we can build in. We have a complete stack of AI in banking solutions, right from customer support, personal advisory, loan processing, underwriting, fraud detection, compliance, risk management, trade finance. The entire stack is available with us. We could certainly connect back after our today's session, and then get deeper into any of these aspects. We did speak about Simba platform, which is our trade finance platform. This is one of the flagship products. We are one of the largest banks in India using this particular solution, and they have seen enormous benefits, right from document processing, doing the compliance checks, checking those documents, are they correct, complete, consistent. All those factors have been looked at. We also have built an accounting agent which allows you to automate the complex processes of receivables and payables. We also have built an invoice processing module. One of our largest customer in India as well as in US, they process about 9,000 invoices, and there is a team, about a 20-member team, who is actually processing these invoices. So why not we build a system which can read these digital invoices, and and convert these digital into from a digital to a text, and that is what we've been doing in. And it's a fantastic solution what we are building, and we can even show that we can actually show this product to you. So to process the invoices to takes less than about few seconds, and you can transform the operational back. We have built the AI marketplace, which Gokul spoke to you about. There are a lot of workflow automation platforms which we have built. Vishwa did speak about last the loan against security, which is one of our flagship products what we have built. Apart from this, we have also build an NBFC in a box. It may not be relevant for all the bankers here today, but all the NBFCs today, when they want to start their NBFC journey, they would need these loan origination, loan management, customer data platform, loan accounting systems, and also the APIs. So essentially what we have done is we have put everything under one box, and actually giving them one particular integrated solution, so that they don't need to be dependent on a third-party API integrator, or they don't need to be dependent on a different LOS partner or a LMS partner. One system can take care of both. and we should be able to they can focus on their growth, expansion, customer success, and they can leave the tech part for somebody like us to drive it. We also, apart from the banking space, we also have been working with a lot of corporates in India, specifically in the track and trace stream. So digital farming agent is something which has been built, which can does AI based checks the with the drones and with the sensors. It can even check the soil conditioning, the moisturing, all those aspects may not be completely relevant in this context, but there are specific problem statements which AI and blockchain has delivered today, and we've been working in a great extent. AI avatar is something which is a fascinating thing which we've been looking at. When we look at AI avatar, it is just not a representation of a particular person we just talks about, but it also has a memory. It also has the decisioning power. It also knows the what the particular person will respond for a specific question, and that is where these AI avatar have been built. Cyber GPT is something which you guys have saw. This is a fantastic solution again for all the security CISO suite. I mean, I will just take a pause here and give you one insight. One of the largest banks in the world, we build this for them. They should take about 2 months to check any of the compliance documents which to come in from the regulators. Today, that process is done under 2 hours. And sitting in India, they can take care of about 32 plus countries, and it's a shared service from India which is getting driven. Then we have also built underwriting agents, which can take care of the underwriting process right from the B2C or a B2B aspect of it. And then we have AML agent and Swift CAT, which is specifically built for trade finance. So that's a quick snapshot about our solutions. Happy to have conversations with you all. Sushil, can you advance the slide? Yeah. So that's my details and email ID. Don't bother to capture my details. There is a QR code. Just scan the QR code in a digital world. Just scan the QR code. We'll get to the form, whatever details you need. Feel free to reach out to us. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for coming up today and having stayed back with us. And looking forward to meet you on the other side of the area. In case there are any questions which we have not taken,
Yes,
would love to
yes,
take
sir.
those questions. And thank you so much again.
Thank you, Mr. Rajit. Now we have two questions with us. So I'll go with the first question, Mr. Vishwa, to you. With AI implementation in banking space, shall we say that fraud in banking could be eradicated? Mr. Vishwa?
Vishwa, in case you're
Yeah,
there, you are Gokul, want to take up
Yeah,
the
Mr.
question?
Gokul. Yeah,
yeah.
Mr. Gokul.
So, AI implementation in banking space, like what Vishwa was telling in the beginning, we are in the currently in the I would say early days of a very big leap, or I would say a significant transformation in global economy. So once the AI implementation reaches its wings across the spectrum, we can very well make sure that the the once AI comes in the full workflow across the banks. So for example, it requires us to be cognizant of the fact that right now there are different standards used across the world, the interoperability between banks, the different dynamics of wholesale banking and retail banking, all that is there in place. So once we have more AI agent penetration across banks and more AI standardization across the banks, we can definitely say that the AI will bring down significantly bring down the fraud and make it more accountable. That's the premise. Even now, what we are seeing we have, as Vishwa was telling in the beginning, there is a significant cost reduction in Norway, right? In fund management space, 100 million fund reduction cost achieved through AI. That's a big transformation. Likewise, what will happen is in their transaction data, once that goes through different agent pipelines, that will be helpful to do anomaly detection, and it will also be so the main power of both predictive AI and agentic AI, once they come together, the the scope of fraud in the banking space will be absolutely minimal. But we have to make sure that this integration of agentic AI and um, the agentic AI and the predictive AI is perfectly harmonized. And there is another question on what is the hard. So there are a few questions I'll answer one by one. So the first question is on the next question from Mr. Narasimhadas is on how AI, AML agents and compliance risk management the agents work. So we have different approach for AML and CMS. AML agents work through the transaction data is given through time series. Time series data is the normal format we use for transaction monitoring. And what we do is we semantically enrich this data. And once this data is semantically enriched and made contextual, we are applying uh, a set of speculative RAG systems. And these speculative RAG systems will create models, AML related models, and there will be a verifier model which will be able to predict the possibility of a money laundering scenario. So this is the strategy we have taken, primarily using speculative RAG and the time series analysis model is the approach for AML agents. Whereas for compliance risk management scenario, we apply more of a graph RAG kind of an architecture, because a graph RAG helps us to understand the compliance standards in detail. We have also implemented extensive compliance related graph GPT systems for compliance related use cases. So we can share more details and we can have a detailed conversation on how our AML agents and CMS agents work. And from Mr. Chari, we have questions on are you working on any vernacular AI agents with respect to banking? At the moment, we are working with the Bhashini framework. So we have started working in the Bhashini framework for supporting vernacular AI agents, but they are not yet deployed in production. But we are working with multilingual capabilities and the Bhashini framework. And then on the hardware, we are using different hardware like H100 and A100 related NVIDIA GPUs are used for training the models. And yeah, and the next question from Mr. Chari is, are you leveraging or we are leveraging open source AI tools like we are using the LLMs from the Mistral, Llama from Facebook, and we are also leveraging the open source model for the guardrails, and we are also using some proprietary frameworks as well. Enterprise frameworks are also used in play. So we are using the right combination of open source and enterprise license models. Hope I could answer the questions. We can always connect with you. These were very interesting questions. We'll be always happy to share more details.
So I think these are the questions.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Over to you, Sushil.
Sure, Mr. Gokul. So thank you all for attending. It was great to have this experience, and I hope you all had great insights about AI agents, how it works, how the strategic discussion was, and how the tech would be enabling you. So I think this was a very great session, and thank you all for attending. So this is the QR code which will connect with us. There's the QR code to contact us page. You can please put in your details, and we will reach out to you on this. So we are active on social media handles like LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Instagram. We are very active on LinkedIn mainly. So please reach out to us on LinkedIn. You can always uh, messages. Please follow our LinkedIn page. We'll be updating all the AI agents and updates which are on the like on the real world scenarios. We are posting every regularly. So thank you all for attending. This was a great session. Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Gokul, and thank you, Mr. Vishwa. Thank you, Mr. Rajit, for this session. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for all the participants and all the creative conversations and questions. We really are grateful to all the audience. And thank you, team.
Thank you. Thank you, Gokul, Sushil, and Vishwa.
Thank you, Mr. Somasundaram. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay.